One of the biggest nightmares for a sailor on open water is a broken rudder. If you're not familiar with boat mechanics, the rudder is the mechanism on nearly every boat or ship that provides steering. There are a few other ways to control direction, but none as simple or as effective as the rudder. And compared to the overall size of the ship, the rudder appears rather insignificant, but its importance is huge. Hello, I'm Stuart Baskin, pastor of First Presbyterian Church of Tyler, Texas, and this is your daily devotional for Wednesday, September 1st, 2021. Imagine driving your car and suddenly finding that your steering wheel no longer controls the direction of your car. Perhaps it gets stuck in one position, like when your car is set in park, or maybe it's become disconnected from the wheel so that no matter how you turn the wheel, it has no effect on your direction. That would be a horrible feeling. And of course, the first thing you would do would be to apply the brakes to stop just as fast as you could. Now imagine the same scenario, only you also have no brakes. The only way to slow down would be to put the car into neutral or even into park and hope that it would roll to a stop before you hit anything. Losing a rudder on a boat is a lot like that. Boats generally don't have brakes, except for motorboats and their ability to put the engine in reverse. Sailboats, on the other hand, usually don't have that luxury. Sailing without a rudder in heavy traffic or near a rocky shore becomes a truly frightening event. In his letter to the Jewish Christian communities of the early church, James likens the tongue to a ship's rudder. The tongue is clearly a metaphor for one's speech, but the metaphor is apt. The things we say can have an enormous impact on our lives, and careless words can have a devastating impact. Here's how James frames the matter. Not many of you should become teachers, my brothers and sisters, for you know that we who teach will be judged with greater strictness. For all of us make many mistakes. Anyone who makes no mistakes in speaking is perfect and able to keep the whole body in check with a bridle. If we put bits into the mouths of horses to make them obey us, we guide their whole bodies. Or look at ships. Though they are so large that it takes strong winds to drive them, yet they are guided by a very small rudder wherever the will of the pilot directs. So also the tongue is a small member, yet it boasts of great exploits. How great a forest is set ablaze by a small fire, and the tongue is a fire. Notice that he frames this portion of his letter with the question of what it means to be a teacher in the church. His point is that what we say matters. Words matter. And while no one can claim to be perfect, those who teach the faith bear a great responsibility for their words. What catches my attention here, of course, is the comparison of the tongue to the rudder of a ship. When it comes to teachers in the church, it turns out to be an especially good metaphor, for the question isn't just about personal speech and its effect on the life of the speaker, but on speech that has an impact on the whole community. I remember the first time I heard a minister cuss. I was a teenager, so I was very familiar with cuss words, of course. And at that stage of my life, I probably used some of those words all too frequently. But I remember playing pool one day with a minister who was a mentor to me. He missed an easy shot into a corner pocket and let out with a very soft, darn. Only it wasn't darn, of course. God knows I'm no rigid moralist, and in our tradition, ministers don't theoretically stand on a different plane from everyone else. Still, it took me by surprise. Actually, it served more to humanize my minister friend than anything else, but it still sticks out in my mind. Why? James's point here is not that teachers in the church are any better than anyone else, but that the words they say the words we say matter in a way that the words of others don't quite do as much. It doesn't have to be a curse word. It can be a side comment criticizing someone. It can be a throwaway line about a person's appearance. Little things. But what they do is give a sort of unintended permission to others to use similar language. That's what James means when he compares the tongue to a ship's rudder. Loose words can steer the ship, the community of faith, into dangerous waters without ever quite meaning to. Look, I'm sure by now you're looking at me and saying, Baskin, I've heard all kinds of words out of your mouth that were profane or unkind. Aren't you being a little hypocritical here? And you're right. I have been known to say unkind or profane words. I can't deny that. But the point is the same either way. Those who lead the church, and we who are identified with the church, could always stand to do a better job of watching our tongues, lest we drive the ship, the church, onto the rocks. Tomorrow, James tells us what true wisdom is all about, a lesson we all need to learn. But for now, may God continue to bless you and keep you in all that you do this day and in all the days ahead.